So you're thinking about majoring in engineering, huh? Don't. Okay, no, I'm just kidding, obviously, right? But if you're watching this video, you're probably either somebody who's going to be going to college pretty soon and is considering majoring in engineering, or you're somewhere throughout your collegiate career in engineering already. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing sort of my take on how I was able to get two different job offers and choose which offer I wanted to go with before I even graduated. So there's my disclaimer, right? This is just stuff that I've done that's worked for me. Everybody's different, you know. So, first of all, it is very important to be aware of the fact that the earlier you start into sort of your search for a career and your development, the better it is, right? You're going to have a bigger advantage than your peers. You're going to be doing yourself a bigger favor. It is never too early to start preparing for your future, regardless of where you're at. I like to think of it as sort of an investment, even though it's not directly my money that I'm putting into it, although it is my future long-term money once I have a job. Um, I like to see it as an investment of my time and my effort. And if you are serious about your career, then the more you invest from an earlier standpoint, the higher your rate of return in the end. So starting with some things you can do way back even in your freshman year. One very helpful thing that you can do for yourself is to sort of get a feel for what industry you want to work in. Now, I know obviously with engineering, there are so many different types of engineering. Some engineering disciplines can be applicable to others. Some are very independent and you must major in specifically what you want to do for the rest of your life. Whereas some other disciplines you can sort of learn a general understanding and then apply it to many different fields, many different industries. Figure out which industries you would be okay working in, which industries you want to work in for sure, and which industries are a big no-no for you. That will help set up your path. If you know which industries you want to go into, another thing you could look into are the different companies, sort of looking what companies hire what kinds of engineers, what they would be doing, what the roles are, the responsibilities, as well as the qualifications for these roles, I think is also very important. So doing that from an early standpoint early on in your freshman year could prove to be very beneficial. Back in my freshman year, something I did to kind of help me with this was I created an Excel sheet with basically just a bunch of companies, right? Like so many companies, and I just color coded everything and had everything oriented so that I could see which companies I've applied to, which ones have gotten a rejection letter from already, which ones I'm still waiting for a response, and which ones I haven't applied to yet. And I think that is a very helpful organizational thing that you can do for yourself, and it also kind of help you with your Excel skills in a way, so you can kind of prepare in that aspect as well. Another very useful piece of advice is to meet your professors. I know this is, as an incoming freshman, this might not be something that like you would feel totally comfortable with, or maybe it's a little weird or something, but and especially if they're professors like gen chem classes and stuff like that, I think it's still very important to meet your professors, because doing so at an early stage will not only get you more comfortable with speaking to professors and sort of being more comfortable with that aspect, but also it opens up possible opportunities for the future in terms of research opportunities, working in a laboratory with any of the professors, which I think is very important, and I'll go into a little more detail later on. But definitely reaching out to them, having a conversation, introducing yourself, expressing your interests, and if you really would like to work in their lab, that's definitely something you can bring up at the time, that you're looking for more opportunities. You're still not very experienced, but you would like to learn more, and you would definitely be open to filling any sort of spots that they would need help with in the future for any of their labs, any experiments that they're running. One additional thing that you can do to sort of improve your networking is a LinkedIn. You definitely want to hop on LinkedIn. Definitely hop on LinkedIn as early as possible. Have your account all set up, make it all pretty, put your resume on there. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a whole list of experiences. It doesn't matter. Just have the LinkedIn and start adding your friends. If your professors are comfortable with it, and if you're comfortable with it, add your professors, add your peers, TAs, anyone that you think could be a resource to you. You could add them on there, obviously if everyone's cool with it. So for your sophomore year, some things that you could do there really is an expansion of what you did in your freshman year. Primarily networking, meeting people, meeting your professors, meeting your peers, meet the people outside of not only your specific department, but people in engineering in general, people in chemistry, people in physics. These are all good contacts to have, because you never know who might be a good connection for one thing or another, or you don't know who might know someone who would be a good connection for one thing or another, something that might interest you. And as well as it just helps build your social skills, right? You get more friends, you get more practice speaking to random people, and overall good things come out of networking. To add on to that, now that you've had your freshman year, you have a little bit of experience, some classes that you've taken, you get kind of the whole college feel, you understand how it works, responsibilities, living on your own, all that kind of stuff. um, Definitely is more likely that you could get into a position with a professor working in a laboratory. So for that, I personally would advise focusing that really on your summer term, the summer after your sophomore year, in that sort of intermediate period where you could take classes or you don't have to, you have that sort of choice. um, I would definitely focus that on getting that experience in the lab, putting that on your resume. Great things. Now, around your sophomore year, you could also start to explore some of your interests in the career fairs that your school might have. So in terms of networking and getting opportunities, in my personal experience, I was fortunate enough to have a friend of a friend who was doing research for one of the professors at my university, and that professor had some spots open up. So that friend of a friend reached out to my friend asking if he wanted to fill in that spot, and that friend reached out to me asking if I wanted to fill in another spot. And luckily, I spoke with that professor, and he liked me. Everything went well, and I got a role in his lab. And I think that position working in that laboratory opened up a lot of doors for me that I might not otherwise have had. Definitely was a great opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that. And I would highly advise looking into getting research experience, even if you're not primarily focused on going into grad school. If you want to go into industry, for sure, working in a lab is definitely something to put on your resume that will definitely make your resume look better and will make you more attractive to prospective companies. One tip, also kind of separate to this, is to familiarize yourself with STAR questions. So I won't go too deep into this, right? But STAR questions are essentially those questions where they ask you at interviews, where they sort of tell you to tell me a moment where blank. You had a conflict with a coworker, you failed and you needed to figure out something that would work. Whatever XYZ that happened, and so you need to focus on the situation, the task, your actions that you took to resolve that, and the result. And that's basically your STAR method questions. So just taking a glance, looking into how you could go about that, what methods you could approach to answering those questions, having some examples maybe, would definitely be helpful to look at early on, just to kind of get an idea. As far as your junior year, this is where things really start to kick up, because you start to get really busy. You have all these classes, you have real engineering concepts that are kicking in, and it's getting kind of tricky, right? But this is also one of the most important times to focus on your future and what sort of things you can be doing to put yourself in a better position to make yourself more attractive for that prospective company. Update your resume. You definitely want to keep your resume updated at all times. You want to have it on point, looking good, especially if you got that research opportunity. Even better. Put your projects on there, any extracurriculars, all that kind of stuff. There's plenty of stuff online for how you can make your resume look better. Look through it, get your resume straight. Another thing, meet your professors. I say this over and over again because it is very important. Your professors are great connections to have. They have great connections that could in turn help you. If you haven't gotten that research opportunity, meet your engineering professors. They all probably have labs and are working on some stuff, and that's great experience that you can gain from them as well. Usually in your junior year is when you aim to go to these career fairs that are super important, because getting that internship is huge. If you are able to secure an internship, that will help you out massively. It doesn't guarantee that you will have a job, but it does give you a huge boost. It's a big advantage. So going to the career fair in your junior year, speaking to these recruiters, adding them on LinkedIn, getting in touch with them, it's all very important. It's all part of networking, really. It's what it all comes down to, is just meeting people and forming those meaningful connections. Now, also, something that certain organizations or groups do at colleges are extra career fairs outside of just your school. So, for example, when I was in my freshman year, I attended the SHEP conference. This is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, which I was a part of the club. So I got the opportunity to go to these events. And so once a year, they have this event in some state. In my year, it was in Phoenix, Arizona. I was able to fly out there, and it was a huge convention with so many companies. You could go there, you could talk to everyone, make so many friends, so many connections, and it's basically like your career fair at your school, but on steroids. Like, it is massive. And SHEP isn't the only organization that does it. I know NESB has some. Um, Women in STEM. There are so many organizations that do this kind of stuff. So definitely do some research at your university. Find out what organizations do what, and what kind of events you can participate in, and definitely get involved. There might be a big cost up front. I know for mine, I had to pay just over $200 to go there, but that would include my flight, my hotel, and a large portion of that was refunded as well. They do sort of refund your the members that participate in that. Sometimes fully, sometimes just to an extent. Mine wasn't reimbursed entirely, but getting some money back was definitely helpful. Okay, so now it comes down to your senior year. This is your last year. You are ready to graduate. You have done everything. You are ready to go. You need to be applying online to so many companies. You need to apply, apply, apply. And it's important to do so because, as I'm sure you've probably seen in so many other engineering videos, you could apply to like 200 companies and maybe get one response. So it's definitely important to apply everywhere. That Excel sheet that you made freshman year is going to come in handy. Now is the time to really use it. Apply everywhere. Some people say that it's good to apply to every position in every company. I think it's probably better if you don't do that. Apply to one, maybe two for each company. But there are obviously so many engineering companies out there. It's endless. Like, there's so many positions that you could apply for. I dropped a link down in the description of this video from an Indeed article that kind of goes more in depth about why you should or shouldn't apply to more than one job per company, more than one position per company. So that's down in the bio. Be sure to check that out. Super helpful article, I think. And in addition to applying online, you can still attend these career fairs that are happening. Doesn't matter at what point in your senior year they are, you can still attend them and meet these recruiters. Again, sort of, you're back on that same position as you were last year, except now instead of looking for internships, you're looking for full-time positions. Your resume is updated, right? Right. And you have everything ready. You have all your experiences on there, your projects, things that you've worked on over the time, extracurriculars, all that kind of good stuff is on your resume. It's updated. It's good to go. You have those conferences that you're ready to go to. You've practiced your STAR questions. You're set. So for me, I was fortunate enough to get an internship over the summer of my junior year. So between junior and senior year, I did an internship, and it was unfortunately virtual due to COVID, but I did get that experience, and I was able to use that as a fat chunk in my resume. And I did gain some skills from that I could apply for my other jobs in the future. In my senior year, I did hear back from the company that I had an internship with, and they did offer me a job as a process engineer. But I wasn't satisfied. That was great, and I wanted to keep looking for what else could be. So, following this, my own advice, I went to the conferences that my school has, and at one of these career fairs, I met some recruiters, and I talked to them. We got along great. Interviewed with them. They liked me. Series of interviews continued. Everything ensued, and I ended up getting a second job offer from this other company. And after comparing the two, I was able to make sort of that decision of where I wanted to go. Had to weigh, pay, location, the actual job, the company itself. And I was able to make that decision based on what I preferred. So I ended up going with the second company that, despite having that internship experience with the other company, I thought it would be more valuable for me and more interesting for me to go with the second company. So clearly both ways work. It is possible to get an internship and get a job from that internship, and I have some friends who didn't get job offers from their internships. It just happens sometimes. And so it definitely is useful to go to these career fairs and do all this prep and be ready for really communicating with anyone and network with anyone. LinkedIn messaging with these recruiters, stay in touch with them, talk to them after the interview, talk with them after the career fairs. It's always good to stay in touch. So overall, really, these steps can be taken really whenever in your career, whenever you feel more comfortable. It doesn't matter if you're doing 4 years, 5 years, or more. Really doesn't matter. It's whatever level you're at, whatever level you feel comfortable at, whatever steps you want to take. This is, again, like I said, just what worked for me. And these are some of the tips that kind of helped me out a lot. So to kind of just summarize, freshman year, look into the various industries, the various companies, find out what you like, what you don't like, what you would be okay with, and just prepare for the future, and meet your professors, be friends, be open, keep an eye out for those research opportunities within these labs with these professors. Very important, very useful. Sophomore year, continue meeting your professors, get that LinkedIn stacked up, get your connections up, try to figure out that lab position for the summer with one of your professors. That'd be super useful, super helpful. Start looking into those career fairs, look into sort of what companies you're going to want to talk to, kind of prepare. It's not entirely super likely that you'll get an internship as a sophomore, but it is possible, and I think the more important part of that is actually forming that connection and getting the experience for how to go about doing that. Junior year, start applying for those internships online, apply for those internships at the career fairs, meet the recruiters, get your LinkedIn up, get those STAR questions down. You know everything, you know what to answer, you know how to answer it, you know how to approach the recruiters. Get that lab experience if you haven't, meet your professors, all of that networking, and go to the other conferences if you're part of an organization that does that. And if not, join an organization that does that, and then go to those conferences. Senior year, you're applying for full-time positions online, you're going to those career fairs again, you're not settling if you already got a job offer, you're still looking for something that's better, bigger and better. Always chase bigger and better. You're going to these other career fairs, these organizational career fairs. Your resume is updated. You're talking to these recruiters and maybe even your professors on LinkedIn. Just staying in touch. Doesn't have to be super technical. It doesn't have to be super social. Just staying in touch. And so again, remember that there are so many other factors that are also considered into getting up the job position. Your GPA, the content of your research or your projects, and your STAR question, your interview performance also are huge indicators of whether you get the position or not. And as well, there's also a sort of luck that goes into it. I know that for some companies, their online applications sort of weed out a bunch of people just because they need less applicants. It's just how it is. So I'll probably make a more in-depth video talking about some more of this kind of stuff in the future, but for now that's pretty much all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to see more videos like this, and thanks for watching.